All right, so I think by now you're seeing it's why I wasn't able to answer your question immediately. There's a lot of little things to think about, especially if I don't know your background as far as what you're used to in exercise, what you're capable of. Last key point I want to go over today before I give you way too much to think about for one exercise is breathing. So breathing is something that, again, is going to be a point of a lot of contention online. People are going to say you should breathe certain ways very deliberately and so on and so forth. There's a lot of ways you can breathe, but I'll tell you this much, and again, from high-level competitive standpoint down to basic fitness, breath is one of the most important elements in the kettlebell lifts. In fact, when you start to get good, believe it or not, even though you're lifting, it becomes so cardiovascular that your breath literally drives the entire lift. I lift really well when I guide my pacing via my breath, right? And when I don't do that and I start to hold it and then weird things start to happen. So on the highest level, all the way down to the lowest level, breathing is very, very important. So there's a couple ways you can breathe when you swing. There's one that is very, very popular, and that's as the bell is coming to you, you inhale, you tighten yourself, you receive the bell, and then as you produce force, you sharp exhale, right? And that's probably, I'll demonstrate that real quick with the hinge like I've showed you, and you get an idea of what that's like. Show them in frame here. All right, so inhale as it comes to you, sharp, deliberate exhale as it goes away from you. Okay, that's the one that most people use, most people demonstrate. In my opinion, it's not very good. And you know what, like, if I tell that to professionals, they're gonna go, well, that's nonsense, that's how you support your core. You're right, that deliberately holding your breath, sharp exhales are great for power. So how long are you gonna be powerful? If you're doing swings for more than 5 to 10 reps, then you're not gonna be doing yourself a favor by holding your breath, creating a lot of internal pressure. Right? You can use the same technique, hold air in your body with a more relaxed breathing pattern, which if you saw me demonstrate earlier in the third video, that's what I was doing, okay? You can do that, and that one is better because when you don't get rid of much air, so you don't get much back in when you inhale, okay? And you have less oxygen. So over time, the longer you go, the worse off you're gonna be. You're gonna get tired. You're gonna, you're building a lot of tension, but you're not getting much oxygen back. So here's a more relaxed version, same pattern, just more relaxed. I'm getting rid of more air, I'm taking in more air. All right, I'll breathe loudly so you can hear it. Okay? You can do the same thing for support in the midsection as you did before. You just are getting more oxygen. I recommend that as a beginner breathing technique, especially if you have some prior lifting in your background. Now, here's where I'm gonna flip everything on you. If you really wanna get good, you wanna do the opposite. And the reason for that is, number one, you shouldn't be using weight so heavy that you can't control it without tensing up your midsection deliberately and holding in your breath. That's great for heavy lifts. That's great for squatting, a couple 100 pounds. It's great for deadlifting and all that. But I mean, this is not, even if it's 70 pounds, a competitive weight, it's not that much for you to control in the sense that you need to abdominally brace. You should be able to do it relaxed, and if you're gonna do it longer, the most relaxed way and the way you get the most oxygen is breathing with your body, which is the opposite. If you're not comfortable with it, don't do it. But just to, again, give you an idea that there's different ideas and different ways to lift. The opposite gives you more oxygen, helps you stay more relaxed, there's less tension. And if you're strong and reactive versus anticipatory, like I was saying, you should have all the connection points necessary to keep your back safe. So you don't necessarily need to create a lot of tension, okay? So let me just demonstrate that real quick. It's just the opposite, all right? So I'm gonna exhale as I fold, inhale as it goes away from me, all right? So now I'm working with my body. I'm getting air as I extend, and as I compress myself, fold myself, I get rid of air. Then it could get real complicated, and you could do many breaths per repetition, which is actually how you breathe if you're a competitive lifter. I'd use 2 in the swing. Again, just for the instance of showing you, I'll show you. You don't have to do this, all right? But all right? There's a lot of reasons you might want to breathe that way, but just know it exists. And just understand that there's a lot of ways to do things. So when you ask a question like, is this right, is this right? They might all be right, it depends. But here's the thing, all right? In the beginning, what I told you in that second video is get used to comfort, okay? Get used to doing something that feels right. And in this case, yeah, feeling fatigue in your back probably is a lack of connection, provided your hinge pattern is good and your squat pattern is good. All right, if you have those things, okay, you're not connecting. And by that I mean waiting for it to come to you, okay? That's the big one. That's the key point in that third video. Breathing's important too. If you hold your breath too long, you're going to induce panic. You're going to run out of air. You're going to start to do silly things. Okay, that's just the nature of how we are. You hold your breath, your body gets an alarm thing going off. So if you're doing more than a couple of reps and you're holding your breath or doing this thing over and over and over again, it's not going to be conducive to relaxation, to comfort, and being able to move freely, which I think you can see in every one of these lifts. Moving freely is very, very important. Okay, that's the essence of it. No extraneous movement, no extraneous tension, in total control the whole time. Okay, so I would recommend you use not the very first pattern. I'd say don't use that. Use that inhale to support yourself. Exhale as you get rid of the bell, help you produce power. Right, but do it in a more relaxed way. Do it in an organic way. Don't deliberately waste energy breathing too hard, if that makes sense. Give yourself some more oxygen. All right, so those are some good starting points for you. Just a quick recap. All right, you need to be able to squat. You need to be able to hinge. You need to be able to control your core when you do those two things. If you can do those, maybe swinging's okay. You need a weight you can feel. All right, 12 kilos, 26 pounds, maybe a little lighter than that, but that's a weight you can feel. And you can actually feel the bell moving, feel it coming to you, all right? Last key point was the connection, making sure you actually feel the bell come to you via your arms pushing into your hips and your midsection, okay? Once you feel that, you react and you produce force, and then, you let the bell float. There's stillness. There's waiting for the bell to come to you. Don't anticipate, all right? And then the last thing is breathing. Cyclically breathe, don't hold your breath. Make sure that you're getting enough oxygen to keep working. All right, that one where you're exhaling to produce power, inhaling as it comes to you is probably most synchronous with other lifting techniques you've used before. So those are all good places to start. And now you've got like 30 minutes of footage to watch and to practice. But those are all things that I think you need to think about. And if you do all those things right, which I don't know if you are or not, if you ever want me to take a look at your form sometime, you can send me a video or come down to the gym because it's here. You can do that, and then we can determine whether or not you're on the right track. All right, so try those things, man, and I'll see you Monday. I'm going to desperately need espresso after this weekend because I have a lot of hard training, and I'll see you Monday morning.